I'm going to show you 4 pentatonic scales to play over minor chords and 2 pentatonic scales to play over minor 7 flat 5 chords with the same pentatonic scales you use in rock and blues. The best part is, you know these scales already. And stick around to the end because I'm going to show you a really cool trick that you can even use pentatonics to solo over diminished chords. Make sure you download the free PDF below. It gets into more detail on the scale choices I'm playing here today and some alternatives as well. This is part 3 of a 3 video series. Make sure you watch the other 2 videos as well because there we cover major chords and dominant 7 chords. Today, we're covering minor chords, and I'm including minor 7 flat 5 chords and diminished 7 chords. For now, all the minor chords, at least, will have the root D. There are 4 minor pentatonic scales that you can use for minor chords. The most obvious choice, of course, is to play minor pentatonic off the root, D, or major pentatonic off the flat 3rd, F. Don't be afraid to play pickups into your phrases or add chromatic notes. If anything like that pops up, I'll circle them for you. Notice that I approached that first note from a half step below. I also added in a C sharp that is outside the scale, and those 2 chromatic notes really make the whole line more interesting. The second set of pentatonics would be minor pentatonic off the 5th, A, or major pentatonic off the flat 7, C. In this example, I'm sliding up a half step from A minor pentatonic on the D minor 7 chord to B flat minor pentatonic on the G7 chord before resolving it to the C major chord. You can learn more about using pentatonics on dominant 7 chords in video 2, the link is below. Next, to get a very Dorian sound, play minor pentatonic off the 9th, E, or major pentatonic off the 11th, G. In doing so, you're playing all the colorful tension notes, and it's very expressive if the chord lasts long enough so you can get a taste of that particular vibe. Minor major 7 chords are a special breed. There are other scales that you can play, certainly, but there's only one pentatonic scale that will work without altering any of the notes in the scale in any way. It's actually the same scale we just used in the last example, minor pentatonic off the 9th, E, or major pentatonic off the 11th, G. Service announcement. I should quickly mention that if you play a major pentatonic flat 6 scale off the 5th, it works great on minor major 7. If you'd like, you can explore that one as well on your own. Take the time to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. Hitting the bell icon gets you notified every time I post a video. Guess what? You can play pentatonics on minor 7 flat 5 chords as well. Play minor pentatonic off the flat 3rd, F, or major pentatonic off the flat 5, A flat. Here is a very similar one. I just introduced a new scale on the dominant 7, and it adds extra tension before the line resolves on the 9th of the C chord. You can also play minor pentatonic off of the 11th, G, or major pentatonic off the flat 13, B flat. Noticed I played D major pentatonic on the C major chord. The link is below for the first video where I cover major chords. On my Patreon page, I'll be posting some pentatonic exercises to get these under your fingers. The link to my Patreon page is below. For $10 a month, you'll have access to these exercises as well as some chop building videos and other bonus material that doesn't get posted to YouTube.
Are you ready to enter the dark side? I was surprised how many ways... Hey! Can you cut out the menacing voice?
That's better. Like I was saying, I was surprised how many ways I learned you can use pentatonics over diminished chords. I asked myself, are there ways to use pentatonics I've covered so far, even over diminished chords? I'm going to show you 5 pentatonic scales that you can play over diminished 7 chords. But we do have to tweak the scales just a tiny little bit. But don't worry, the scales will still fall under your fingers quite nicely. I promise. Here's the minor pentatonic scale we all know and love. If you change one note in the scale, the 5th, by flattening it, it now fits over the diminished 7 chord nicely. This is one way to play it. The flatted 5th notes are in blue. Now you have minor pentatonic, flat 5. This one's good if you want to keep it 2 notes per string. I like this one. Notice the grayed out note on the 2nd string. I sometimes omit this string to get a cool sounding leap, but of course you can play it. By the way, the one that sounds the best to me is minor pentatonic flat 5 off the flat 3rd of the chord. In this case, F. There's the odd note now and then that is technically outside of the diminished scale, like a flat 9 that pops up instead of the natural 9. But to my ear, it doesn't sound wrong, just interesting. You'll very rarely ever come across a diminished chord being held for as long as we have here. This is just for demonstration purposes. If you look at minor pentatonic flat 5 from its 3rd, it's actually Dorian pentatonic. The 3rd of E flat minor pent, flat 5, is G flat. F sharp is the same as G flat, and it's a little easier to notate or think. I use this scale a lot, so I was happy to discover that it works. This time our diminished chords will have the root C, so playing the scale off the 3rd, we would play E flat minor pentatonic flat 5. Or if you're thinking Dorian pentatonic, it would be off the flat 5, G flat or F sharp. Did I mention you should subscribe to my channel? I did? Okay, so you're gonna do it, right? Go ahead. It's right there. Now, if we take major pentatonic and sharpen the 2nd note in the scale, we have a scale that works fantastically well over diminished chords. This is the formula. Root, sharp 2, 3, 5, 6. Exactly the same as major pentatonic, but literally just sharpening the 2nd note. There are 4 major pentatonic sharp 2 scales that you can play on diminished 7 chords off the 9th, the 11th, the flat 13th, and the major 7. These are the same degrees of the scale that you find for dominant 7 chords, D7, F7, A flat 7, and B7. We learned that in this video. I'm just going to play the 4 examples and let you know on the screen which example I'm playing. Don't forget to download the PDF. All of the examples will be included so you can practice them. I'm kind of excited about these sharp 2 scales because it's a very bluesy feel over diminished, which isn't normally the case. it hardly sounds diminished, which is a good thing, I think. It's even new to me. You should figure out how to do this over other diminished chords and learn to resolve your line into the next chord. There's really only 3 diminished chords. You can learn all about diminished chords right here. And here is a playlist of all 3 videos in this series up here.